Hello and welcome to the Comic Book Guy channel. I'm Guy Wozniak, and today we are playing another round of Comic Book Jeopardy. This is the 4th episode of Comic Book Jeopardy, and the turnout and the interest in the show up until this point has been great, so thanks to all of you guys for watching. That said, if this is your first time here, definitely go back and check out the previous episodes when you finish this one. Now, if you are new here, we talk about comic books and comic book related topics regularly, and we do the Comic Book Jeopardy show, of course. So if you're a fan of comics, superheroes, graphic novels, sci-fi and fantasy, or anything comic book related, please subscribe to the channel because you will almost certainly enjoy the content. As far as this Jeopardy show goes, it's pretty straightforward. I'll ask you a series of 30 trivia questions across 6 categories, escalating in difficulty, and then one final Jeopardy question. Feel free to keep score. I recommend adding up the points that you score from the questions you answer correctly, and I'd say don't bother removing points for missed questions, but hey, that's just my preference. And with that said, let's go over today's categories. Our first category is Batman, and yes, every week I try to do one character-specific category, and this week it's all about the Bat. Category 2 is Unpowered. It's a category all about the heroes and the villains across comics that have no powers. The third category is Daddy Issues, and this category is dedicated to all of those superpowered fathers across comics. Category 4 is Toy Lines, and in this one we will be looking at all of those famous comic-related toys, and perhaps animation-related toy lines and action figures. Category 5 is Villain Teams, a series of clues related to some of the most villainous groups to ever grace the pages of comics. And finally, Category 6 is Stan Lee, a name synonymous with comics. This category is all about Stan and his contributions to the comic book industry. So today, Matt, my co-host on the channel, will be doing the clues with you guys. So a big thanks to him for helping me write all of these clues and for running the board today.
A few moments later.
Hey guys, I'm Matt, and I'm happy to be here today. But before we get started, do me a favor and don't forget to leave your total score down in the comments when you finish the show, because we love seeing who gets the highest score. Now with that said, let's dive into the 200-point round. Batman for 200. Batman, the Dark Knight, and the Caped Crusader are all names that he goes by, but his real name is this. Who is Bruce Wayne? Unpowered for 200. Formerly a Marine, now a vigilante who fights criminal empires. He may not have powers, but he has a battle van, a sidekick named Micro, and a lot of guns. Who is the Punisher or Frank Castle? Daddy Issues for 200. This father with a magnetic personality has a son and daughter who were first introduced as villains, but soon became heroes. Who is Magneto? And of course, his son and daughter are Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. Toy Lines for 200. These currently popular, non-posable, small plastic figures are most recognizable by their oversized heads and cartoonishly shaped bodies. What are Funko Pops, or Pop Toys? Villain Teams for 200. This team of villains, led by Lex Luthor, was featured frequently on the animated Super Friends cartoon. And of course, who are the Legion of Doom? Stan Lee for 200. Stan Lee and artist Steve Ditko co-created this character in 1962, Marvel Comics' most popular character, debatably. And of course, who is Spider-Man? And that will wrap up the 200-point cupcake round. I hope you guys like those easy ones because we are going to ramp up the difficulty. But first, a quick reminder about the 10,000 subscriber giveaway.
One of you will win this collection of Wolverine comics when the channel hits 10,000 subscribers. This is the 1982's Wolverine miniseries issues 1 through 4 from the legendary team of Frank Miller and Chris Claremont. So let's keep it real simple. If you want to win these books, do 2 things. First, be sure to subscribe to the channel because Only subscribers are eligible for this giveaway. Second, when we hit 10,000 subscribers, I will post the giveaway announcement video. You have to see this video to find out who will win, so make sure that you have notifications turned on, because you don't want to miss that.
Batman for 400. The tragic murder of his parents inspired Bruce to eventually become Batman. These were the names of his mother and father. Who is Martha and Thomas Wayne? Unpowered for 400. This purple-clad member of the Avengers later went on to form and lead the West Coast Avengers branch of the team. Who is Hawkeye? Daddy issues for 400. He is the demonic father of one of the Teen Titans. Who is Trigon? Toy lines for 400. This line of war toys were first introduced in the 60s as 12-inch figures, before being reintroduced as 3 3/4-inch figures alongside a cartoon and comic series. And of course, that's the iconic G.I. Joe. Villain teams for 400. This sextet of villains frequently teams up to battle the Amazing Spider-Man. Who are the Sinister Six? And for a little test of your own knowledge, in the comments tell us who the original members of the Sinister Six were. Stan Lee for 400. This superhero series, created by Stan Lee, kickstarted the Marvel Age of Comics in 1961. And what is the first family of Marvel? The Fantastic Four. Batman for 600. After Dick Grayson, this character was Batman's sidekick and the second person to take on the Robin mantle. Who is Jason Todd? Unpowered for 600. This armored, tech-savvy hero formed and led the New Warriors, and his real name was Dwayne Taylor. Who is Night Thrasher, one of my personal favorite heroes? Daddy issues for 600. This villainous father was killed in 1965. Then in 1982, his son assumed his title and swore revenge against Captain America. Who is Baron Zemo, or Heinrich Zemo? Toy lines for 600. This cartoon and toy line from the 80s was targeted for boys, but soon spawned a cartoon and toy line targeted towards girls. What is He-Man and the Masters of the Universe? Villain teams for 600. This team of supervillains had many iterations with different leaders, including the likes of Magneto, Mystique, and even a short-lived run with Hammock. Hammock?
Hammock is not his name.
I can't imagine he'd be a really good superhero.
His ability is to recline lazily between the trees.
Villain teams for 600. This team of supervillains had many iterations with different leaders, including the likes of Magneto, Mystique, and even a short-lived run with Havoc at the helm. Who is the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants? One of Marvel's first supervillain teams. Stan Lee for 600. This famous catchphrase was something Stan said regularly, using it to end his columns and cameos. What is Excelsior? And every panel I'd ever been to with Stan Lee, that was always someone's request. Batman for 800. Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul had a son whose name was this. What is Damian Wayne? Unpowered for 800. This blue-clad hero first appeared under the Charlton line of comics until bought by DC in 1983 and became a member of the Justice League. Who is Blue Beetle? Longtime chum and best friend of Booster Gold. Daddy issues for 800. This mutant fathered a son that ended up founding the anti-mutant group Friends of Humanity. Who is Sabretooth, or Victor Creed, longtime foe of Wolverine? Toy lines for 800. This line of toys existed for years in Japan before being successfully marketed in the US with the help of comic legend Jim Shooter. And of course, what are the Transformers? Villain teams for 800. This reptilian group of foes were first introduced in the pages of Captain America. Who is the Serpent Society? Stan Lee for 800. This is the name of Stan Lee's wife and his lifelong inspiration. Who is Joan Lee? All right, that was the last 800-point question. Now we're jumping to the 1,000-point round, where things are going to get much more difficult. Batman for 1,000. In the Dark Knight Returns story arc, Batman defeats this quote-unquote villain in a brutal street fight. Who is Superman? But was he really the villain in this story? Well, from Batman's perspective, he certainly was. Unpowered for 1,000. This green-clad and well-meaning but clumsy Marvel hero was first introduced in Marvel Team-Up number 121. Who is Frogman?
I feel like you maybe made that up. I've never heard of this character in my life.
His father was a villain called Leapfrog.
Are you serious?
Yes. Daddy issues for 1,000. This long-standing Avengers foe has a daughter with a complicated love-hate relationship with Tony Stark. Who is Count Nefaria? And of course his daughter is Madame Mask, or Whitney Frost. Toy lines for 1,000. This toy line was created by a legendary Spider-Man artist and spans multiple genres to include sports, comics, sci-fi, fantasy, and even music. What is McFarlane Toys? Villain teams for 1,000. This villainous team's first battle resulted in the death of the leader of Alpha Flight, Guardian. Who is Omega Flight? Stan Lee for 1,000. Technically, the highest-grossing actor of all time, thanks to his cameo appearances in nearly every MCU movie. This was his first movie cameo in 1990. What is the ambulance? And I didn't know that either until Guy told me, but he assures me that it's true. Okay, guys, that brings us to the end of round 1 and on to Final Jeopardy. In Final Jeopardy, you can wager any amount of points that you earned in the previous round on the category of popular comic cartoons. If you get the question right, add that total to your final score, and don't forget to post your total score in the comments below. Now let's see the Final Jeopardy clue for popular comic cartoons. Introduced in Season 1 of the 1992 X-Men animated series, this anti-mutant government program created the Sentinels to hunt down mutants. What is Project Wide Awake?
Hey, it's Guy, and I'm back to close out this episode of Comic Book Jeopardy by first saying thanks to Matt for helping me come up with a bunch of new questions for the show, and thanks for co-hosting this episode. Now let Matt know down in the comments what you thought of his questions. Were they too tough? Were they too easy? Or were they just right? Now, with that said, I'm going to wrap this show up for today and say thanks for tuning in and watching. As always, I appreciate it. And do me a favor, keep collecting comics, keep on watching our videos, and until the next one, bye now.